All right, I'm here with Brendan Buckley here today at Beat the Streets. Step into the circle. How are you?
Doing great.
It's awesome. So, can you tell me a little bit about how your wrestling career started and each step of the way and where it's got you to where you are today and what wrestling means to you as a whole?
Sure. I would just have to say that my life I would just know no other life than the one that I have. All the gifts and the rewards and so many of the relationships have all directly been a result of my being involved with the sport since I was 10 years old. I grew up in Orlando, Florida, which is not a wrestling hotbed, but I was fortunate that my older brother Greg wrestled in college. He wrestled at Clemson. He coached me a lot, and would come back during college and demonstrate technique and just talk about the mindset and the attitude and the amount of effort that it takes to be successful. So I attribute a lot to my brother Greg. On top of that, just falling in love with the sport. I think it was a benefit for me to start later. I always wish I would have started younger, but as a result of starting later, I just always felt like I had to catch up. And so that was really my drive, was to feel as though I just had to work really hard to kind of catch up with a lot of people, especially when I got into college and started wrestling guys from hotbeds like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and California. So it's helped me, start my career in college coaching at the different universities I've been a part of, and ultimately leading up to me becoming the executive director of Beat the Streets.
What does Beat the Streets wrestling mean to you? Being an executive, you guys help kids who don't have opportunities many other kids have. But then you see what this program has been able to do. I mean, it's transformed New York City wrestling into, now a place that people have to worry about wrestling people from New York City. New York City wrestling, is pretty difficult now. I know, we got good kids. You got Brandon Nunez, New York State champion. You have Terry Adams, just won New York States this year.
Right.
So what does it mean working for Beat the Streets, being able to help these kids and evolve them into something and create a life?
I just think it's the best skill set to help kids become successful anywhere, the suburbs, but especially here in the city. The challenges that a lot of the kids in New York have and other urban areas. I think it's so important to have something to latch onto that can really take you places, that teaches you that grit, that teaches you how to compete, how to work hard, and just how to just really devote yourself to accomplish something. And that's applicable to not just athletics, that's applicable to everything that you do. Becoming successful long after wrestling is over. So to be able to have an organization solely built around providing that towards kids who really need it, it's a really powerful organization, and we make a really terrific impact.
Yeah, you guys do a great thing. Lastly, what does this event mean to you and mean to New York City as a whole?
Well, I'd say this is it's a fun wrestling event, and it brings recognition to our organization, and we get the New York City wrestling community together. The kids benefit from it. Ultimately, everything we do, it's about our kids. But we love building relationships with the New York City wrestling community. There's people in there that are two-time NCAA All-Americans, guys, a lot of them from the Ivy League, but a lot of people from the Northeast, or having wrestled out in California like myself. When you meet a wrestler, it's just an instant bond. So to bring people in New York City into our organization, whether it's at an event or helping out at a wrestling practice, or providing financial support, or mentoring a kid, it's just, there's so many wrestlers here in New York City that have that same passion, even if they're not involved in the sport anymore. And our goal is to bring those people to Beat the Streets.
And one more question. I know I said the last question, but if you had to give advice to anybody just starting, the sport of wrestling, or young, or considering joining the sport, what would that advice be?
You got to make it the most important thing. Hanging out with friends, partying, things like anybody can do that at any time. You really have to just give 100% of yourself to the sport, and I would say that just with anything, if someone is a wrestler or not. But wrestling, if you want to be successful and you want to compete, you can't do it half in, half out. You got to give 100%, and you can't be afraid to fail. I think a lot of people, from youth all the way on up to high school or college, they're afraid to really take a deep dive into it because, well, what if it doesn't work out? And I would say you gotta dispel that notion, and you just gotta give all that you have, and you'd be amazed what you can accomplish if you do that.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks a lot.